it'll give us an entirely new overworld. The items that are in caves will be randomized. The items in the palaces will be randomized. The palaces themselves will be randomized. Their layouts will be. The drops from the enemies will also be randomized, so we may see some of the bits and bots dropping 500-point P bags, and we are on our way here. So we have Kulain using the Simon sprite, Yunos and Trails both using standard Link sprites, and JJ Schmidt is using the Darknut sprite.
So, Rockhowl asks, how complicated is the randomizer? Well, if you know the vanilla game, I'd say you are more than ready to take on the randomizer. It's pretty difficult sometimes, it's pretty trolly, but if you know the rules of the vanilla game, you can get into the randomizer world any day. So we're open for new players every day.
So we have Kulain in Palace 4, which we can tell by the little smiley head at the top of the pillar and the fact that there's one of the not invisible, but one of the flying eyeballs that instantly tells us it's Palace 4. And meanwhile, Trails drops down into the Fairy Cave, which is one of the pass-through caves that may or may not come into play tonight. So the point of the game with Randomizer is exact same as vanilla. Place all 6 gems, get into Great Palace, defeat Thunderbird and Dark Link.
So we've got JJ Schmidt in P-Back Cave in the east, so he's gonna find an item. Meanwhile, Yunos is on the town of Sadia, getting the mirror under the table to satisfy the lady, the vase lady, and get his spell. So Yunos got Fairy out of Sadia, which is a very good spell. Meanwhile, Trails picking a 1-up and JJ Schmidt picking the magic container in P-Back Cave.
And Trails comes across Palace 5. Again, we know that by the pillar topper and the fact that nothing dropped from the Iron Knuckle statue.
So as you can see, JJ Schmidt is asking for the people of the town for hints. So that's a new feature where they can ask the stationary people in the towns for hints, and they will tell them the location of some items. You can get 1 hint per town and a total of 4 hints in the whole world.
So there are 8 item locations on the West Continent. There will be 5 in various caves, 1 on the grass tile, which we saw Kulain on just a moment ago, where he picked up a 200-point P-bag, and 2 in Death Mountain. Trails picks up his fairy spell, which is pretty essential most of the time. It allows the players to get through locked doors if they don't have a key or the magic key. Now, the tricky part can be sometimes you may have to grind up to magic 5 to be able to cast fairy. Fortunately, this seed that is not the case, but we've seen quite a few of those.
Meanwhile, JJ Schmidt picks up the child in Magic Container Cave. So that will help him get the spell out of the town of Darunia, which is in the east. So not yet a useful item, but maybe later. Okay, so Kulain finds Hammer Cave. So we're gonna see what this Dead Mountain holds for him.
So we do see 1-ups on the drop table, and Trails is coming up to the item. I believe this is Palace 1.
So Yunus picks up the boots out of that mountain. Out of Palace 1 item room. Meanwhile, Q-Lane finds the glove and takes the first play of today. That is huge, man.
Always a gamble to go into Death Mountain, and it really paid off for him today.
So Hardcore Chuck asks in chat what system they are playing on, and they are playing on the NES, on the Nintendo Entertainment System, or they are playing on an emulator. So that depends on how wealthy they are. Yeah, it is possible to have a gloveless Sith. There have been some, especially in the Max Random tournament, but in the 6th gem Sith, it has a very low probability, but it can happen.
Yunos taking down Horsehead, gonna place the first gem of the seed. About 6 minutes and 52 seconds in or so.
Yeah, I know for a fact that Yunus plays in a Nintendo Entertainment System. I don't know about the other guys. I'm not sure about Q-Lane. I believe Q-Lane also does it on a Nintendo, but I'm not sure.
We have Kulain opting out of using the disable low health beep feature of the randomizer.
Yeah, thankfully this is not a max random race with only one heart container. It will be driving us crazy, man. So Yunus getting downstep out of the town of Miro. Very important to get it early.
And you're very welcome, Slayer. Glad to help out. You've been a huge help to us in the past, so we got your back. Trails finds Mito. I suspect he'll be ferrying up to get the down stab.
Yeah, also in this category there is a feature called spell hints on, and they can ask the lady that guards the spell in each town where the spell item is. So maybe we'll see Trails asking the old lady where the medicine is.
Yeah, it's been over a month now that we've had that feature, and I keep forgetting that it's a thing.
So Culane got the boots out of Palace 1. Very useful items early on, especially for Culane that got the glove out of Dead Mountain. However, we still need to see where the raft is. The raft is the first item that every player is looking for, because it leads you to the east, and you have to go to the east to complete 4 palaces of this game and get 3 spells and a lot of items. So let's see where the raft is hiding. So yeah, this randomizer is pretty crazy because the way the game is laid out means that you can change all the overworld. All the tiles in the overworld are randomized, so you get a whole new universe every time you play. Also, the palaces have all the rooms shuffled.
And Trails finds Hammer Cave and will be picking up his glove.
So yeah, Trails has a very good sense of smell for these trolls. JJ Schmidt also picked up a little bit in Dead Mountain, but just opted out of it. So Culane getting his first gem placed on.
So we have palaces 1, 4, and 5 on the west continent. So it's possible we'll find the raft in either 4 or 5, which will be a bit of a troll either way. You know, 5 just because it's so huge and can be just an absolute slog to get through. And 4 because Reflect is required to defeat the boss. Usually don't want to dive that until they have the Reflect spell. But if they need the raft to get it, well, I guess they'll find it there.
So we've got an useful hint out of the town of Middle, which is that Ribbonek, which is the boss of Palace 3, is hiding the flute, which is a 100% required item in this category. Did anyone catch what the lady in Middle said about the medicine? Where is the medicine?
I missed it myself.
Yeah, catching hints is new for us and very hard to pay attention to. So Culane finds an item room.
Okay, and chat informing us that she just said medicine is on east.
And Culane getting a piggyback out of this palace.
So, given what we've seen, I think there's just a couple options for where the raft could be. Depends on if they can find the hammer in Palace 4, otherwise I believe the raft has to be in Palace 4. Yunos picks up the kid in Magic Container Cave.
So to beat this game, there are 3 things that are 100% required. The first of them is the flute. The second of them is the Reflect spell, which you need for beating the boss of Palace 4. And the third one is the Thunder spell. So yeah, and there are some items that are like 99% required, like the glove that JJ is picking up out of that mountain. And we've got one boulder on the west, which means that the hammer can be also hiding something. So you need the flute to rebuild the hidden palace. That is a new feature that lies below the three-eye rock in the east. Also, you could need the flute to defeat the river devil, but most of the times the river devil is just laying around where he's not blocking anything of importance.
Well, the past few races I've watched, the River Devils actually come into play, so we could always hope for that tonight.
Yeah, and I believe the one that triggered that was Trails, man. He just raised the morale of those River Devils out there, so yeah, congrats to Trails for achieving that, man. That was a very memorable race. So we've got 3 players with the glove, which is surprising. Well, this West continent isn't giving players too much, so that mountain didn't seem like a very mad play at the beginning.
Okay, so a couple questions in chat. What do we actually need to beat the game? Usually we're gonna say the fairy spell, the thunder spell, reflect spell. Then with this flag set, the hammer is very likely to be needed, the flute is required, and the glove is almost guaranteed to be required. Everything else we may or may not see come into play. And as for how long this takes, could be anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half. Sometimes a little quicker, sometimes a little longer. You know, it is all randomized, but generally that's what we can expect.
Okay, so Eunice just found the raft in Palace 4. So that could be a bad thing for him, because, well, the other players found the glove at that mountain, but as Eunice picked the raft, he's gonna go to the east as soon as he can, so he's gonna search for a lot of places to find the glove, and he's not gonna find it. So let's see how long it takes for him. He's a very good player, so let's see how it works for him.
We have the medicine on the desert tile. Eunice just picked it up.
So no, we are playing any percent, practically. Well, they need to beat the game, they need to beat all the 6 bosses of the game, and they need to get into Great Palace, defeat Thunderbird, and then defeat Dark Link. So they don't have to get all the items, and they don't have to get all the spells. They just need to finish this game as soon as they can. However, they need to get some items and some spells to achieve that goal.
So level up strategy varies wildly from player to player. Some of them just do mostly attack, and others just take levels as they come. It's really up to personal preference. And there's some things that could swing what you decide to do. such as if the fire spell is linked to thunder, you're probably going to want to get your magic levels higher so you can just spam the heck out of it.
So Tulane entering Palace 4, where the raft is. So I bet he's gonna get his raft and get going. He's looking very good tonight, so we'll see if he takes it tonight. Yeah, spell costs are randomized, and you have the options in the randomizer to also randomize the damage you take from enemies, the damage you do to enemies, the effectiveness of your attack levels, and the effectiveness of the life spell refill. So yeah, everything can be very random in this game, as random as you want.
Yeah, generally with this, it's easier to talk about what's not randomized or can't be randomized than what is or can be, because there's just so much to do with it. Even enemy hit point can be randomized. So if you get a low attack roll and high enemy hit points, that could make for some pretty frustrating situations.
So Yuno's getting stab out of the Darunia, and in chat they're saying that they didn't know that the palace music was out of this Zelda. Yeah, there are two melodies that they got out of this game for Super Smash Bros. This is one of them, and the other one is the theme from the Great Palace, which is a great song too. So Tulane is picking up his raft out of Palace 4. So I guess he's gonna sail to the east too. Meanwhile, Yunos is grabbing the spell in Darunia, which is the spell of fire, which in this category is linked to another spell. So he's gonna find out soon what spell that fire spell is combined with.
As for what can't be changed, let's see, the layouts of the towns, some of the insides of buildings. I think that's about it. Oh, I guess the layouts of the caves can't be either, but where they're actually located absolutely can be.
So Yunus finds the magic key in a, I believe that's a pea bag in the east, sorry. That key will help him get through the palaces without having to use the fairy spell or finding keys. And this category has the more keys in the palaces flag on, so every pea bag that you find in a palace gets turned into a key. Yeah, the fairy spell is that one that you're saying that turns the players into a fairy, and you can get through doors with that spell. Also, you can reach high places and you can cross places that have no floor, like some lava rooms in the palaces.
Yep, in Palace 6 there's 2 rooms that you have to get fairy to exit. In Palace, or the Great Palace, there's also 2. In Palace 4 there's the occasional chance that you'll have to find or I have to use the fairy spell to go through one specific room from going right to left.
Yeah, so Yunus grabs the reflect spell out of New Kasuto, so that is a required spell, so that's a good find for him. Meanwhile, Keelane finds the spell in Mido. Pretty useless spell, but you can go to the town of New Kasuto and grab an item thanks to that spell, so that could be a thing, but doesn't look like so.
I did actually see some good use of the spell in its, I'm not going to say intended, but I guess it's secondary use, which will turn most enemies into bots. There was an encounter I was watching last night that was particularly rough. There were invisible ghosts and lava pits everywhere, and so the racer, I want to say it was Rose City Saint, I don't quite remember, but he was using that to take care of the invisible ghosts, which was good to see. And Kulain and Trails giving each other a high five right here in Darunia together.
Yeah, so Brackleford asking about the mother character sprites. So the new update of the randomizer allows you to pick among 9 characters. So that includes Link, Zelda, Simon from Castlevania, a custom Iron Knuckle sprite that our player Jackimus designed, Rudo from Ocarina of Time, and some other like the Vase Lady and Bagu.
And then also in the latest version of the randomizer, you can actually choose your sprite color as well, which is a feature I personally love. I'd always regenerate seeds until I got one of 3 colors I'd tolerate.
Yeah, but you brag about liking the pink on Error or Bagu, whoever he is. So yeah, and you play the village people music when you run.
Yes, if you do the Bagu sprite, definitely go with the pink tunic and listen to the village people playing Macho Men. Guaranteed, it's a life-altering experience.
I can take your word for it. So, Yuno's in Maze Island, and in Maze Island you can find 2 items, and he gets out of there. I don't know if he picked anything there. Meanwhile, Keelane getting the magic key out of the Pivot Cave in the east.
And Trails right behind him with it.
Meanwhile, JJ Smith finding the raft in Palace 4.
So Yuno still has not gone back west to get the glove from Death Mountain. So I think that's really going to hurt him in this.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna go there for a big while, man. Because, well, when you get the raft, you just have to explore all of the east and finish the palace as you can without the gloves. So, yeah, I think that will take him some time.
Trails and Kulain on basically identical paths, picking up the heart container from the water tile. Trails looking, sees he can't cast jump, so he just opts to go left and ignore the pea bag. Kulain does pick it up. And they're entering the forest tiles looking for New Kasuto, which is hidden in this. If you come across a forest tile that does not have an encounter, you'll know that that's New Kasuto, which you will need the hammer to reveal.
So Q-Lane getting reflect, and we have I haven't noticed if the what the fire spell is combined with. I know Yunus has it, but I haven't seen him use it. So has anyone seen what the fire spell is combined with?
I've been trying to watch for it and I haven't seen it, but you know, 4 screens is kind of crazy to try to monitor for a quick spell cast. I know Kulane and Trails also have it.
So Yunus in Palace 3. We know that Rivanak has the flute, and I believe we know that Yunus knows that. So he's going for it, which is a required item. But as he doesn't have the glove, he finds himself locked out of the palace, so that is very unfortunate for him.
Especially having to go through Death Valley to get there. I didn't see if there was all 3 encounters or if it was just 2, but either way, that's a time loss you don't want to take, especially when you're already behind for missing the glove.
So yeah, that's the randomizer for you. Man, Yunus is probably the best player, along with Dipchake, which is the creator of this randomizer. And well, he's having a very hard time on this Sid. So yeah, this shows you how the randomness of the thing can be very punishing for even very good players like Yunus.
We do see the River Devil up on Kulane's screen. It looks like it could actually be possibly blocking something, but it's also entirely possible that they can use boots or another cave to get there as well. So, I'm not sure if he's absolutely required, but there's a chance.
Okay, so Yunus just got the hammer out of the other pivot cave in the east. And let's hope that having the hammer encourages him to go to that mountain, which we know is the right play to do.
And Yunus did pass by 3-Eye Rock just a moment ago, which I believe we have not established what's on Maze Island just yet. So it'll be either that as 6 or Maze Island as 6, and whichever the other one is going to be Great Palace at this point.
So Kulane got the life spell out of a town, which I didn't see which town was, and finds the hidden town, the town of New Kasuto, and he needs the hammer to access that town, but he hasn't found the other pivot cave which holds the hammer. Meanwhile, Trails is digging Maze Island, so probably we'll see what items that Maze Island is holding. It looks like a very troublesome Maze Island with no river, and yeah, probably a lot of encounters.
It's definitely one of the more linear ones so far. So they are going to be looking at every tile, every path tile on Maze Island until they find 2 drops to get items from there. And Korak, yes, it's entirely possible for Reflect to be fire at this point.
Yeah, JJ Schmidt getting his fire spell, so let's see if he tries to figure out what it does. So Trails doesn't go into the palace to check what it is, he just keeps searching for the location of the items. J.J. Smith getting a heart container out of the water tile. And Q-Lane finds Great Palace.
Okay, so I was mistaken, and there's one other palace we haven't seen, which I guess must be 2. So 2 and 6 will be on Maze Island and 3-Eye Rock, whichever one happens to lie wherever.
So Q-Lane going into 3, that is in Valley of Death. And he's gonna be able to pick up the flute. So yeah, he has a very good lead at this point. Meanwhile, J.J. Schmidt picking up his reflect spell out of Old Kazuto, sorry. And Yunus using his hammer to go into the trophy cave in the west. So that is good, because maybe he'll get encouraged to dig for the Dead Mountain Hammer Cave and the Spectacle Rock.
And
Meanwhile, Trails finds...
container from the item cave, or the
Okay.
item on Maze Island. And it is 2, Palace 2 on Maze Island. And he finds his second item, which is also a heart container. Not what he wanted to find, I'm sure. Definitely looking for spell items at this point.
Yeah, meanwhile Yunus decides to take on Palace 4, which he has already been in because he got the raft out of it. So he's gonna finish this palace and then we'll see what he does. Yunus falling into the leap of faith, which will probably lead him to the boss, and well, that's it. He's facing Karok of Palace 4. Meanwhile, Q-Lane finding the glove block room out of Palace 3, where Yunus had to take a step back and leave. So we're gonna see what lies beyond this room. Okay, and it is the outside, so there are 2 possibilities. One is that Yunus didn't check well, didn't want to check well, or 2, that he just decided not to. So Yunus finding the Spectacle Rock out in the open in Dead Mountain. We know it probably doesn't hold anything of value, but let's see what it is. It is the trophy. It could have an important spell, so I guess he's gonna go to the town of Ruto to cash his trophy. And Q-Lane finding the
enemy is going to be the non-boss Gumas, the little mace throwers, and they're worth 100.
Meanwhile, Trails finding a magic container.
Q-Lane finds Rebanak.
So Yunus goes back to the east, which is unfortunate because he's still looking for the glove and he hasn't found it. So, very unfortunate for him.
Which is interesting, because if you have the hammer and the boots, you really got to be thinking Death Mountain, because it's so much easier to access everything with the boots. And having the hammer, you can definitely get both items out of there, so I'm a little curious as to why he didn't dive it yet.
Okay, so I didn't see Kulain getting the item out of Palace 3, so that could be his demise, because, well, maybe he didn't get the hint out of Middle that told us that there is the flute, so he's gonna have to come back if he didn't grab the flute. I didn't see it, but maybe someone in chat saw if he has the flute. I don't think he does.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he missed it.
Yeah, so the hints give another random factor to this game, and it is which players read them and which players don't. So, okay, he's heading for Tri Rock, but no, he doesn't stop there in the pixel, so he doesn't have the flute. Yeah, he's showing us his menu and he doesn't have it. Meanwhile, JJ Schmidt picking his items from Maze Island, his heart container and soon his magic container. Meanwhile, Trails is finishing a palace, which I didn't see what it was.
I'm pretty sure it was Palace 2. Yeah, definitely Palace 2.
So at this moment we're looking out for the location of the Thunder spell. Besides that, we know where the important stuff is in this seed, so let's see who finds it first. Yeah, you're correct, Mr. I am somewhat mad. I don't know if you pronounce that way. But yeah, I don't know what Trails is looking for. I believe he got both items. So Kulain going into... What palace is this? Sorry, I didn't check. That looks like 2 probably. He's in Maze Island, I believe.
And Yunos coming up to New Kasuto. And 6 containers is enough to get the item there. It can be randomized from anywhere between 5 and 7. Gets a non-hint from the invisible person in Nikasudo. JJ Schmidt picked up the or no, I guess he just placed the crystal and is heading back for the item. My mistake. And Yunos picks up the Thunder Spell from New Kasuto, so we do have a hammer required seed. And yes, that's correct. Beat all 6 palaces, place all 6 gems, which will unlock the Great Palace, where you can fight the final 2 bosses, Thunderbird and Darklink.
Meanwhile, Trails going into Palace 3. Let's see if he grabs the item, which we know is required, but we don't know if the players know that. We only know that Yunos knows that. And I missed the item that Yunos got out of the spell tower.
It was a heart container, so we've seen all 4 of those now.
Trails trying to pull off a first encounter skip. The enemies are not helping him, so he decides to take a death and go through with the fairy spell. He's gonna try the fairy fit, which is a glitch similar to the screen scrolling in Zelda 1, and he gets it both times, which is very good. So he goes into Palace 3, meanwhile Q-Lane is into Palace 2.
I'm doubly curious as to why we didn't see a full clear of Palace 3, because with it being in Death Mountain, that's definitely not something you want to go back to, and or Valley of Death rather, and it's only 14 screens, so that's a really questionable choice.
And Q-Lane gets his items out of Maze Island. His heart container and soon his magic container. Meanwhile, Trails is going straight on into a dead end, a very trolly dead end of Palace 3. Palace 3 tends to be friendly, but today it wasn't that friendly.
The worst 3 is always going to be better than the best 5, so there's that.
Yeah, totally right. I believe the worst 3 can even be better than the best 5. Sometimes Guma is in the first right door, but when that doesn't happen, Palace 5 can be a mess every time.
But even when that's the case, you still have to fight Guma, which is worse than a full clear of 3 just in itself.
That is correct. So I believe JJ Smith is gonna head into Palace 3 too, as Trails is doing. So let's see if they pick the item. So Trails going into a fight with the boss of Palace 3.
While he missed the initial pogo spot, he did line him up pretty well to get a secondary pogo. Did that very well.
Meanwhile, Q-Lane is getting into the other P-back cave in the east, and he's gonna find the hammer in there. So yeah, that will be useful, especially because the Thunder spell is in New Kasuto, so the hammer was required for this seed. However, not getting the flute is gonna cost him some time, because he's gonna check every other place before going into the place he has to go to. Yunus finishing
double dip of Death Mountain with him going to look for the rock there.
Yeah, both of our most experienced players are missing the important things on accidents. I don't blame them. They have to be competitive and they have to make sacrifices, like for example not digging the every palace item. That can cost you a lot. So Trails gets the flute and is the first player of these 4 that gets the flute, and having beaten 3 palaces, that kind of puts him a little into the lead. Let's see if he finds the pivot cave with the flute, with the hammer in it, because that could be his demise too. So Trails getting out of Valley of Death and maybe going into the Three-Eyed Rock.
I imagine that's what makes the most sense, so I'm sure that's what he's doing. Which we know is going to be Palace 6, as we have not seen it yet.
Yeah, so each of our players has an Achilles heel. So Culane is missing the flute, Yunus is missing the glove, and Trails is missing the hammer. So we'll see which of our players solves the puzzle first.
And that's always interesting to see 4 different players in 4 different palaces. But Yunus and JJ Schmidt are both in 5 right now, so I guess that's...
Yeah, and let's not forget that we've got other players running aside from these players. We've got Rose City Zane, which always makes these very good explorations of the seeds. And we've got Mr. Thurwolf, which is the other revelation of this year. So, and Amazing Toaster and Kavabesh, which are very good players. So yeah, anyone can take this race at any moment.
JJ Schmidt takes down Rebo McIntyre. And I was mistaken. I had said JJ Schmidt and Yunus were both in 5. It was just the similar bricks or same bricks and similar palette making me think that. So we do have all 4 in different palaces right now. Rebo McIntyre, not Reba McIntyre.
So yeah, round 2 of Yunus against Guma. And JJ Schmidt finds his flute at Palace 3 and gets into the competition because, well, he also has 3 gems played and he has the flute and the glove. So let's see which player solves the puzzle first.
And Kulane takes down Karak Top.
Trails finding the item room of Palace 6, which is guarded by a Ribonek or a River McIntyre, as Mr. Cyclone GU said.
And it's a one-up that he just doesn't even regard, and then thinks better of it.
Okay, so finally, Yunus goes into Death Mountain. So that is looking promising for him. Maybe he's gonna be the first player to solve this puzzle, because he has 4 gems placed, and he's gonna find the last item he needs. So yeah, that is such a comeback, because, well, he was kind of behind because he didn't find the glove, but, well, now he is in the glove cave. So that's the randomizer luck for you.
And that's definitely showing Yunus' skill, that even though he missed that, he was able to keep on top of things and not lose too terribly much time over the whole thing.
Okay, so Q-Lane just defeated Guma but died at the same time. That can lead to several outcomes. One of them is pretty dangerous, and it is a soft lock that makes the key to never fall, and that soft locks the game. Thankfully he didn't get that, he just got a new Guma to fight.
And Trails fighting Barba, using some jump strats there.
Yeah, he insists that that enemy is a lady and that she's called Barbara.
Yeah, I had a coworker we called Barb, which was short for Barbara, so it's really easy for me to want to call Barba female. But my understanding is that Barba and Volvagia from Ocarina of Time are one in the same, so I guess that makes him male. Or maybe I'm just ignorant. I mean, I know I am, so maybe that's playing into it. I don't know.
Meanwhile, J.J. Smith finding the mini-boss of Palace 6. And, well, Yunus has to go back to Palace 3. Let's see if he goes for the flute. That can still be a thing. He has the knowledge though. He got the hint out of Mido.
J.J. Schmidt about to pick up his little digger.
So, Yunus goes back into Palace 3, of course, and just saves himself from the lava. That fairy cast was very quick on his behalf.
And with that, I believe every player has death abused to get through Valley of Death.
Meanwhile, Trails goes into Palace 4 to finish up business with Karok, and Q-Lane goes into Trophy Cave to see what's in there. We've already seen what it was, and it was a magic container. Meanwhile, Yunus going for the trolley dead end of Palace 3 again. Oh, okay, he doesn't know because he was glove locked. So he's gonna have a very salty moment in some seconds. He's gonna be screaming at the top of his lungs.
JJ Schmidt coming up on Barba. Does get delayed on the little ledge, so it's not a guaranteed spawn on the right side. If you just run straight in full speed, Barba will always spawn on that right pool, which will give you a bit of an advantage.
I just cannot do that. I'm too nervous to do it.
He is going for some pogo strats. That looked like only briefly. There we have it, another yak hammer.
So, we've got 2 players with 5 bosses defeated. However, those players, they aren't in go mode. Yunus has 4 bosses defeated, and JJ Schmidt is about to get his 4th boss defeated. But they also don't have some items. Yunus still doesn't have the flute, he's about to get it. And JJ Schmidt doesn't have the flute and doesn't have the hammer.
Yeah, this is still anybody's race at this point. I guess at this point I'd have to give the advantage to Yunus based on the fact that he pretty much has everything he needs with the exception of the flute. But again, he is probably just about the best, one of the best, if not the best player, so he's got that going for him.
Yeah, he knows the hint in one hand, and in the other hand, well, he's a very good player, so he knows what he needs to do.
And again, that's not to play anyone else. We have an amazing selection of players. Just Yunus is just a slight cut above the others that we have on stream tonight.
Yeah, what a comeback he did. I truly believe he couldn't come back out of it. And well, if Q-Lane will have checked for the item in Palace 3, the story will be very different. We will be having him into Great Palace at this moment. But well, he didn't. And Yunus gets his flute, and he's finally in full dig check go mode.
And Cyclone pointing out the best way of putting that. Grade A players, and Yunus gets an S. Give that to Yunus, Dig Shake, and Rose City Saint, personally.
Okay, so Trails finishes Palace 5, which makes him the first player to defeat all the bosses, but he doesn't have the hammer, and that is gonna cost him some time. Okay, if JJ got his hammer, that is good to know.
And if we have any other mistakes on the tracker, feel free to point it out. It's always appreciated. I believe Trails just picked up the medicine.
So Q-Lane finally gets into Palace 3 to get his flute. He's gonna be very salty for making that mistake. However, Yunus is in Palace 6, so anything can happen. And let's not forget that Great Palace is a great equalizer of this game, so anything can happen still. So Trail's about to get disappointed with the spell out of Mido. He was hoping for the Thunder spell. And I believe he's now going to go to see if he finds the hammer somewhere else.
So Great Palace, just like the rest of this, is completely random on how difficult it can be. It can be, you go right 2 rooms and there's Thunderbird, and then right 2 more and there's Dark Link. Or you can wind up having to clear all, what is it, like 33 rooms of it or something on a shortened one. And it can be very maze-like. It can loop around on itself multiple times. So, yes, it can be very difficult. In general, it's not too bad, but we've seen some rough ones.
So, Trail's going into Rudo to cash in his trophy. No, but he doesn't have the trophy. I guess he's gonna ask the lady where the trophy is, because yeah, that mountain holds the trophy. So he knows he needs the hammer because he has 2 item locations yet to 2 spell locations yet to get, and those are New Kazuto and Rudo, and he needs the hammer for both of them. So, well, that will narrow his search. He now knows that he definitely needs the hammer. Meanwhile, Q Lane at last in go mode, finding the flute. He's gonna go straight to Palace 6. Meanwhile, Yunus is still exploring Palace 6.
6 actually turned out to look pretty mild. I've seen some rough ones of those too, and this one, not that bad. Yeah, we definitely have a good race between Kulain and Yunus at this point, especially with Great Palace coming up, and Trails as well.
So Trail's looking everywhere for that cave. And Yunus finds Barba, and he's gonna be the first player of this fort that is gonna lead to Great Palace. No, Trails didn't get a hint, but he just discarded all the other options. He's pretty sure that the hammer is the way. So he's gonna take some pass-through caves to find that cave that has the other item. Meanwhile, JJ Schmidt is gonna find out what it lies into the rock, and he's gonna be disappointed.
Yunus takes down Barba and is going to beeline to the GP at this point.
So yeah, Mr. Nightlight, this is Zelda 2 Randomizer. Is one of the best randomizers because all the overworld and all the palace rooms are shuffled among a lot of things. So this is very random. You get to play a whole new game each time So Yunus enters Great Palace at 1 hour and 10 minutes.
And we are yet to have any off-stream finishers, so I imagine we may have quite a race going on between some of our off-stream players as well, which include Rose City Saint, Jay Coper, Kava Besh, Amazing Toaster, and Thurwolf.
So finally Trails got his hammer out of the Piva cave in the east. He must be a little bit salty, however he didn't spend that much time on it. He's going straight to Great Palace, so we're gonna have him maybe getting in there first and kill Lane. So that's good for him.
So Lane I'd put in third place at this point, given that still quite a bit of 6 left. We know that this is going to lead to the other Rebanak fight, which will lead to the item, and then he'll have to backtrack a bit to go find Barba.
Yeah, and I forgot that he needs to pick up his Thunder spell, so that's gonna take some time. But let's bet. I still bet that Trails is gonna get in there first. Let's see who wins.
So yeah, at this point, Yunus is definitely ahead, but it still could go anyway. We don't know how this Great Palace is going to turn out, and Kulain and Trails are pretty close.
Yeah, and let's not forget that Trails has this amazing sense of smell for truly great palaces. So he can do very, very unconventional routes in Great Palace and get ahead of you whenever you think about it. So Trails getting out of Nikasudo and going straight to Great Palace. Meanwhile, Q Lane is fighting Barba, so let's see who gets in there first.
Yeah, the main idea in Great Palace is go right. Unless you can't, then drop or go up elevators, down elevators until you can go right and go right. But sometimes taking that odd left could lead you on the right path, and a gamble like that could give you a win. And with Trails, we could very well see that tonight. And down goes Barba.
So Trails enters Great Palace at 1 hour 13 minutes, 3 minutes behind Yunus.
And Kulain, I believe, will only be about 40 seconds behind there. And Reset Gaming, I do believe there is a version of the randomizer with the Vanilla World map. And Trails taking a left at Ferry, like I was saying, with those unconventional moves, could win him the race. But it does lead him to just a dead end in this case.
Well, at least he has the knowledge. So yeah, there's a version with the classic world map, but it is a very old version, and it doesn't have all the features that this one does. Okay, so I forgot that Lane didn't go into New Kasuto to get his Thunder spell, so that is gonna cost him a couple of minutes more.
Yeah, I missed that too. But it does look like we're shaping up to have a pretty rough GP at this point. You know, finding yet another dead end.
Okay, so we've got a winner of this race, and it is someone that I believe no one was expecting to win. So yeah, Jay Copper has finished in first place with a time of 1 hour, 15 minutes and 17 seconds. So congrats to him. We don't see him winning every day, so yeah, that's huge for him.
Yeah, Jay Coper, definitely one of our better players, but Z2R certainly is not one of his best strengths he's known for.
So, Yunus in L7 room. Meanwhile, Trails going into Jackimo's room, which we know doesn't lead to anything. And Yunus goes into a theater room that looks kind of promising. Let's see if he finds anything interesting in there. And Q Lane enters Great Palace in 1 hour, 16 minutes and 3 seconds. 6 minutes behind Yunus and 3 minutes behind Trails.
So I do apologize. I do have a 5-year-old on the autism spectrum, so sometimes I do get interruptions. I do apologize. And I do have a newborn, as Zarnax is mentioning, but she wasn't the one making the noise this time.
So this still can be anyone's race. However, Yunus has the lead at this moment because he finds Thunderbird. And this being a very long way to Thunderbird, it is very likely that Dark Link is hiding behind him, or 2 rooms ahead, I don't know. Yeah, congratulations, Mr. J. Copper, man. This is huge for you, and yeah, this was a very weird seed. Everyone had one item they were missing, so I guess you got them all in the right order. You killed this seed. Congratulations, man. And Yunus on the brink of death, fighting Thunderbird. He is about to die. He's using pulse strats, and oh, he almost dies there. Thunderbird is also in his last hit, and he makes it. So very good fight. That was definitely intense.
And we do have Dark Link right after there, so Yunus will very likely be taking second place.
JJ Smith getting his Thunder Spell. I believe he's in go mode for Great Palace, but I don't know yet. He kind of abandoned his tracker. Sorry about that, but the race was pretty fierce between the other 3 players. So GG to Yunus.
Yunus is finished in second place with an official time of 1 hour, 18 minutes and 55 seconds. Trails taking the Eon drop there, which will loop him back to Fairy Room, I believe.
So, JJ Schmidt entering Great Palace in 1 hour 19 minutes and almost 1 hour 20 minutes. So, he's 10 minutes behind Yunus and 7 minutes behind Trails and 4 minutes behind Q Lane.
Yeah, overall a pretty close match between all 4 of our on-stream players.
So Yunus is gonna pass on the interview. So let's see who finishes first, and let's see if we're gonna get him here.
Yeah, if you're new to this and you're interested, we do have a Discord channel. Definitely look into the Randomizer, join our community, and get on in this. We always welcome new players, and it's a great time to join up. We have a tournament coming up at the end of next month.
So Q-Lane taking the drop on L7 room. I haven't been able to check out the layout of this great palace. It's kind of complicated. And that leads him to a 1-up, which he doesn't take.
JJ Schmidt's stream is taking a brief nap here. Hopefully he'll be back here pretty quickly.
So we've got 2 more races that finished. Amazing Toaster has finished in 3rd place with a time of 1 hour 22 minutes and 15 seconds. And Rosity Singh has finished in 4th place with a time of 1 hour 22 minutes and 32 seconds. Yeah, Mr. Nightlight, you definitely should play this thing. It's amazing. The Randomizer is one of the best things that humanity has created. So yeah, you're very welcome to play this and race us someday. And Thirwolf has finished in 5th place with a time of 1 hour 23 minutes and 8 seconds.
Very close race between all of our players tonight, it seems.
Yeah, and it isn't looking good for Trails. He's again into Jakimu's room. He's going down now. Let's see where it leads him. So Q-Lane in a fan room with flying lights after him. Meanwhile, Trails in the downstop required room. Q-Lane entering a theater room, which looks kind of promising. And it leads him to Thunderbird, so Q-Lane has the lead at this moment. Trails getting a 1-up drop, but he just ignores it. And Q-Lane taking a death on purpose so he can refill his magic and kill the bird. Because the bird is the word.
And Jay Cooper, yes, this has been a pretty big GP. Yunus pretty much full cleared it. Trails will have full cleared it. Q-Lane pretty much full cleared it.
Yeah, so JJ Schmidt is just going through Jakimu's room. We know that Jakimu's room, you have to take it down so you can find a way. So he's gonna take some trip in this great palace.
And Trails passing the Eon drop this time. Took it last time, which looped him pretty much, well, not pretty much, looped him right to the start of the palace. And Kulain coming up on Darkling. And with that, Kulain has finished in 6th place with a time of 1 hour, 25 minutes, and 48 seconds.
Yeah, so let's see the final scene with Simon Belmonte kissing Zelda. So JJ Smith in Eon drop. Some people say just take the Eon drop, it always leads to the truth. But he decides against it and finds another drop, and now he has to decide which one of these 2 drops he takes. He's gonna take the one to the right.
Which we know is the right choice. And Trails finds Thunderbird.
So I believe we're gonna have Kulain here. So Mr. Kulain, are you there?
Hello, hello, yes I'm here.
So how do you feel, man? You had the lead, a very good portion of the race, but you made the mistake of not exploring the item on Palace 3. So what do you think about that?
I realized I only had like 4 item locations left on the east after I killed the boss. I reset out instead of looking back for the item, which was a huge costly time. Could have saved at least 10 minutes or something there.
Yeah, that is correct. And yeah, well, you were the first one to pick up the glove, and you were looking pretty good, but that cost you. And well, I don't blame you, because well, you have to finish palaces, and sometimes you have to sacrifice the items. And but yeah, that's the fortune in Zelda 2 Randomizer.
To be fair, I almost forgot about the hammer and new Kasuto. I was almost thinking I was needing an item less than I did, and I remembered a bit later in the race. But the flute, of all the items, to be the one that kind of slows you down. That's kind of rare.
Yeah, that's the thing about the new updates, that in this category you need to find everything practically, so you can finish the seed. So the strategy to finishing the palaces without getting items sometimes looks pretty bad.
So did the other players grab all the items too? Like, I grabbed all the items except for Nuke Kasuto, everything in the game.
Yeah, everyone pretty much did that. The thing is that all of the players had this Achilles heel thing. Yunus, the last item Yunus got was the glove out of that mountain. We thought he was very behind, and he ended up
glove wasn't required for the most part in any of the dungeons.
Yeah, so that way Mr. Yunus got the comeback between the players that we restreamed. Well, Jay Copper took the first place from him. We don't know how he played, but Yunus, well, he had the glove. And Trails, the last item he found was the hammer. So he had to find everything else before finding the hammer, because he didn't know if it was required or not, and it ended up being required. So yeah, everyone had a very bad time with one of the items.
Yeah, Up, but that was an unfortunate game over for Trails. He was one hit away from finishing up Dark Link there. And JJ Schmidt is now fighting Dark Link, so he may have just been sniped.
Wow.
Well, that sucks, but it happens. But I had fun with the seed. It was mostly fun for the most part. It wasn't too bad. It gave you a bunch of options to explore, except the raft was the last item I found on the west. I had to go through all the dungeons and all places. It was in P4.
Yeah, but anyway, you were one of the first guys that found it. The first one to find the raft was Yunus, and well, that was unfortunate because he found the raft, so he went to the east to explore, and he didn't look for the glove in that mountain. So yeah, this game punishes you for the silliest things. So what do you think about this great palace? I couldn't get a grasp about the layout of this great palace. Can you explain us a little bit how this great palace worked?
Yeah, I can explain a little bit. There was Dark Link and Thunderbird was hidden in a segmented section that you had to get to by getting to a drop. And now the drop, to get to the necessary drop that brings you to the path to go to Thunderbird, you just have to take the first left, like in Vanilla at the entrance of, well, not the first left, the second left after the fairy room. And then it's all rights after that, and if you do that, it should take you to the drop that will eventually lead you to Thunderbird and Dark Link. But it could have been really tricky. There was a few off lefts before some drops, so if it didn't take you to Dark Link there, let's say one of them took me back to start for the fairy room, then you would have to run all the way back and around the dungeon.
Yeah, right now we're seeing Trails, of course, exploring all the palace again. He knows the route, so he's showing us which way was the right way. And JJ Schmidt finishes in 7th place with a time of 1 hour 31 minutes and 46 minutes. So GG to him. Let's see if he wants to talk. He says he can, but it has to be real quick, so let's get him in.
Alright, well, I'm gonna go to bed now. I did kind of wake up because I was working and I gotta go back to work soon. Light crew. Anyways, take care. Peace. Until next time.
Oh, GG, man. You played greatly. It was just unfortunate, but yeah, you gave us a real good show. So yeah, GG and good night, and well, good work.
It's all fair for the course for Kool-Aid. He likes grabbing all the items. But anyways, yeah, take care and good night.
Good night, man.
So, JJ, GG.
Oh man, I missed Kool-Aid.
Yeah, you just miss him.
GG Kool-Aid and everybody else.
So how did this seed feel to you, man?
Honestly, it felt pretty good going through until I gambled on Thunder being in one of the 2 towns left on the west instead of checking New Kasuto first.
Yeah, Trails did the same thing. However, he didn't have the hammer, so that was a bit more hard for him. So, did you know that you entered Dark Link's room after Trails, man? And he game over there, and he's in this moment going through all the Great Palace again. And to add to it, he got a 1-up drop before entering Thunderbird, and he didn't take it. Can you believe that?
Poor Trails.
Yeah, that's the lack of the randomizer, man. So, which do you think was the item that defined this seed?
Oh, that's a tough call. It seemed like, I don't know, it seemed like early on I was getting items at the right times. It didn't take too long to figure out where everything was. And then I got really lucky in Death Mountain. I don't know how many other people went through the second entrance instead of the other one, but that was could have been a big time save. But I'll have to watch back and see. Jay Coper finished way ahead of everybody, it looked like.
Yeah, we're curious about that. Very curious because, well, everyone played well. The thing is, well, what I wanted to tell you is that everyone had this item that they didn't have. And for example, Q Lane missed the flute in Palace 3. He didn't get the item and got out of there, and well, that cost him a lot of time. Yunus didn't get the glove early. He got the raft first, so he checked everything before going back to that mountain. And Trails missed the hammer. So yeah, he checked every town for spells, and well, when he saw that the hammer was necessary, he had to go and search for the hammer. So yeah, this seed was weird in that sense. So anyway, GG, because you finished in a very good time, and congratulations for that. And yeah, Trails finally reaching Dark Link, so almost guaranteed GG for him too.
Fantastic. Well, I'll dip out and let him hop in when he's finished up here. But thanks for the restream and the comms, guys.
No, thanks to you. Good night, man.
Yeah, have a good one. So Trail's about to finish up Dark Link and bring us to a close here. And Trails is going to pass on the interview tonight. So with that, we have Trails taking 8th place. 1 hour, 36 minutes, and 42 seconds is his official time.
Yeah, so hello, Mr. Rosity saying GG on you too, man. So yeah, that looks unfortunate. Getting into Karok and having a tiny bit less of magic power than what you needed. Oh, and fire was tied to reflect. Yeah, someone in chat told us that. And you forgot, yeah. So you got possessed by Victor Santa Fe when you were in Palace 4. So yeah, I think we can wrap up this for tonight. Very good race with God. We've only got one player running in the background, which I believe is Mr. Kababech. So, well, thank you to the Speed Gaming community for opening this space and showing you the marvels of Zelda 2 Randomizer. So, any last words, Mr. Daster W, who I got the pleasure of working with again tonight?
Well, first off, the pleasure's all mine. Always enjoy sharing the booth with you. Final thoughts, kind of wish I was playing that seed. It looked like it was real fun. I probably would have done something stupid like miss the flute myself, but that's just the way the thing goes. And once again, if you're interested, we do have a Discord. We have a fun little community, do races. Trails is racing multiple times every day pretty much. So you can always find a race or just people to play casually. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else.
Yeah, well, I'd like to say that this seed was pretty fast, man. The 7th player finished in 1 hour 36 minutes and taking a game over on Dark Link, which made him explore all the palace again. So yeah, that was a very fast seed, and the players were very close to each other. All the players, 15 minutes of difference between the first and the 8th player. So yeah, very, very interesting to get this kind of seed. So yeah, thank you again, Mr. Daster. I think we can go in peace now. And GG, Mr. Trails, who is in chat at this moment. And yeah, we'll see you next week with the weekly randomizer. And these days, I believe we're gonna have some of the semi-final matches between Unos and Dick Shake of the Max Rando tournament, and maybe the great final next week. So yeah, looking forward to that. Mr. Alan Heffley tells us that Discord links are in the Zelda 2 Randomizer weekly channel in the Speed Gaming Discord, so you can check that out. So good night, Mr. Daster W, and thank you again for this pleasure of sharing the booth with you, man.
Again, it was a pleasure to do commentary with you tonight. And on that note, have a good night yourself. Have a good night, everyone out there. And thanks to everyone involved.
Yeah, Trails, we love this game. Good night, everybody.